Hey guys, thank you so much for downloading and listening to this episode of On the Beat. Have you rated or reviewed us yet? If not, why? The best way for us to grow is by sharing us with your friends and rating and reviewing us wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify has a new rating feature right on our podcast front page. It is super easy, and the more 5-star ratings and reviews we get, the better it is for us to grow. If you screenshot and DM us your review, we'll share the most flattering ones on an upcoming episode. Thank you so much for listening, and your support is marvelous and appreciated. Well, hello there, and welcome to On the Beat, the podcast that uncovers full frontal male nudity in cinema. My name is Laura, and I am joined by my beloved co-host, Ryan.
I'm her husband.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're so much more than just my co-host.
Yes.
But today you are first and foremost.
Well, at least for the next 50 minutes, I'm your co-host.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I brought you here today to talk about the 2005 hip-hop crime drama, Get Rich or Die Tryin'. Starring...
the hip-hop crime drama, just so we can distinguish it from all the other crime dramas.
It also has a hip-hop element.
It does.
The hip
it does.
and the hop.
Yeah.
And you don't stop.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't think this movie has a lot of hip-hop, to be honest.
No, it doesn't.
It's the gangster rap crime drama.
Yeah. Is 50 Cent gangster rap?
Gangster rap.
Probably is, right?
Semi-autobiographical crime drama.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into the biographical side of the film.
Well, it stars
relative detail.
50 Cent, or Curtis Jackson, same person, as Marcus.
The $50 man.
The $50 man.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard as Bama, Joy Bryant as Charlene, and Viola Davis as Grandma. There's other people in this movie, but...
Yeah, there's quite a big ensemble, like a big black ensemble cast in this movie that they've been able to put together. It's actually I would say that the strongest thing about this film is the cast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much, it's a very well put together cast. It's just a shame the story doesn't really substantiate or at least get the most out of its cast, I feel. Personally.
Which is a shame. It's a good story, and the cast is, as you said, very well put together. Mm-hmm. But this movie is pretty boring.
Yeah, the movie is a little bit dull.
Weird. It's strange that it is, because especially this is the film, or a film, that has a lot of elements that you, Ryan, quite enjoy.
I'm no stranger to enjoying
hip-hop crime dramas.
Well, no, I mean, I guess like a lot of black cinema, like black voices in cinema. So, I put myself out there. I say, I really like Spike Lee. I like the Hughes brothers. I like John Singleton an awful lot. Like it appeals to me.
Do you think that this film is at a disadvantage from being written and directed by two white men?
I don't know, because there's plenty of other films of this ilk that are directed by white people, or not specifically white people, but people who are not black, I guess. But I will say that this film does not benefit from, I guess, like what they needed to do is they kind of needed to lean in the story a little bit, because it is a little bit too chunky for its own good. So certainly in the writing, they needed to trim some stuff out of it just to kind of make it a bit leaner.
We need to get into the synopsis and everything as well, but as we were talking about it, why don't you tell us about our director, Jim Sheridan?
So Jim Sheridan, it's such a weird combination. It's like,
I agree.
Irish playwright directs 50 Cent's semi-autobiographical telling of his life story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's very weird. Like, it clashes a bit, or at least, like, on paper, you feel like it clashes a fair amount. But Jim Sheridan, he's a celebrated film director and Irish playwright, and this is just a selection of some of the stuff that I quite like from him. Probably his best film, or his most well-known film, is My Left Foot in 1989.
Yeah.
Which was obviously Daniel Day-Lewis playing a painter who uses his left foot to paint.
Right.
I
mean left. Sorry. Go on.
God.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is a short episode. So, so Danny Day-Lewis got the Oscar for this movie. I quite like this movie. It's very sad though, so I'm not going to be like, wow, let's sit down and enjoy this. He worked with Daniel Day-Lewis again in The Name of the Father in 93, film called The Boxer in 97, In America 2002. Get Rich or Die Tryin comes out obviously in 2005, but another film that we watched recently, which has a couple of our favourites in it, is Brothers from 2009.
Oh, yeah.
Which is obviously Jake Gyllenhaal and Tobey Maguire.
I love that movie.
And Natalie Portman's in that. So
it's got my favorites.
Well, that kind of comes out, or at least it's out during the time where there's a surge in like post-war, like PTSD, Afghanistan, like post 9/11 cinema.
Yeah.
You know, because then we got like The Hurt Locker and In the Valley of Ella and all that sort of stuff like around about the same time.
Right.
So there is that. So not much kind of notable other than what I've kind of mentioned from, for Jim Sheridan. He did work in TV and he's done one music video for Sinead O'Connor in 94 for You Made Me the Thief of Your Heart.
Oh, okay.
How nice.
Lovely.
But yeah, I don't really have an awful lot on Jim Sheridan. I always kind of was like, that's a very strange kind of pairing. Now, I would say this film's relatively quite dense, but it's also a little bit too fatty in its denseness,
It's interesting you would say it's quite dense, because I felt like there are moments which feel very rich and very intense.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another third of the movie that's just floaty and flighty and feels like it's not anchored to anything.
It just needed to get to the point a little bit quicker. And then also there's quite a grim, and I guess like this is more towards the end of the movie where it kind of goes against the hallmarks of the gangster genre by effectively celebrating and condoning the horrible things that Curtis Jackson's character does in this film.
Right.
To basically become a success.
Correct, yeah. I agree.
And it goes against the elements of the gangster genre, which is effectively like, if you live the life of a gangster, that's effectively like the whole point of their arc is that there's an eventual downfall. Like, they shouldn't be rewarded for doing horrible things. And you can scale that from any number of gangster films, starting from like the 1930s when the original Scarface came out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and this kind of goes against that, and I kind of feel like it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, some horrible stuff happens at the end, but then he is a success.
Yeah. So I guess like there's elements of that, and also because, it is semi-autobiographical, I kind of start to question the legitimacy of his true story. If I'd be correct there.
You know what? And let me just pop in the synopsis, because I haven't grabbed that yet. So the synopsis from Letterboxd is: a tale of an inner city drug dealer who turns away from crime to pursue his passion, rap music.
Yeah. See, now that's all fine and well, I think, because like what we see is it's a weird thing, like how they do this in the story, and I'm obviously not going to give too much away because it doesn't really, it's not going to lend anything to our argument to kind of explain every single beat of this movie. We're just going to kind of pick away at it. But it starts at a pivotal moment in his life as an adult, and then flashbacks all the way back to him being a kid, and then we see him growing up. And basically we track his basically a descent into the criminal underworld.
Yes.
Effectively, where he's like pushing drugs, he's pushing dime bags as like an 11-year-old kid. He's got like a gun, His mother's been murdered, and he's living with his grandparents.
Yes.
Who also are housing like 12 something other children at the same time. So, he's struggling to get an education. He's basically knows nothing but the streets, and he's just kind of making his way up the criminal underworld, selling drugs and stealing money. That's effectively what it is.
Yeah, he becomes the best at being a bad boy.
He's
the best of the bad boys.
Pretty much. Obviously, and I'm assuming it's for the safety of himself and everybody else. There are obviously certain elements of the story that ring true, because there was a moment, obviously, where Curtis Jackson, he was shot like 9 times.
Yeah, in real life.
In real life. And he was shot in the face. And all that stuff is shown in the movie. And then, obviously, his rehabilitation to becoming a rap superstar, so to speak. That's all kind of mapped out and makes sense. And obviously it's something that grew in him gradually, as opposed to, well, I was gun running and gang banging and selling people drugs, but I found music. It's not really been that way.
Right.
You
want to know the tagline?
Yeah.
If you think you know the story, you don't know the man.
Yeah, I never liked that.
No, because I didn't know the story. And I don't really know the man either. I don't feel like I came out learning too much. Seems like a good person. Well, maybe?
The thing is, I mean, if you take this story as verbatim, it would come across that like he's a horrible, evil individual.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, just because he decides he's not going to shoot a Colombian in the face and just shoot him in the leg, I don't think that's justification for some of his actions.
Yeah, I guess there was a point where he was going out and his girlfriend asked if he killed somebody, right?
Yeah.
He goes, no, but I should have. So
yeah, it's not justification for, like, you're still doing something bad. Like, it doesn't matter if, like, you killed someone or not. I mean, that's probably one of the most abhorrent fucking crimes you can commit on a single person in your lifetime. But at the same time, you're kind of just like, well, I wanted to see a bit more, at least like a bit more of a level of remorse for his character. But unfortunately, as a gangster in this movie, he's not really doing much to redeem himself other than he's vocalizing it and putting it into his music. Yeah. The idea that someone turns his back on him and shoots him 9 times, like, I don't feel like that's enough justification for how this film ends. But
he also has a baby.
Yeah, I mean, that should be justification enough to kind of, like, change your life around and things.
But like, then he had the baby first and then went to rob a store. So he maybe should have thought about the fact that he had a family and someone to take care of before he went and tried to rob that place.
Yeah.
And that's when he gets shot.
Yeah, but then I guess, like, there's also an element of that where it comes from, like, a place of desperation, like, he knows nothing. Like, he's not just going to go get a job. I mean, he also kind of has a go at his grandfather at one point by basically saying, like, he's not going to be that...
Oh, he's not going to, like, clean floors.
Clean floors and stuff, which is, for most part, intents and purposes, it's, it's an honest living.
Yeah.
But,
better than selling drugs.
Yeah. But I think, like, what I'd want to talk about, and I don't really want to talk about the film itself, because I think the film's very middle of the road. Like, let's talk about how the film, like, effectively came to be. And why it ended up in the hands of someone like Jim Sheridan.
Do you know the story? Because I do not.
Well, Curtis Hanson's 8 Mile came out in 2002.
Okay.
So very much that set the template for what Get Rich or Die Trying is going to be.
Right.
Which is effectively like, if you think about 8 Mile, 8 Mile is the beginnings of Eminem, Marshall Mathers, like that whole story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's a little bit more intimate. It's a little bit easier to get into. And
Mom
I feel like
spaghetti.
Yeah, but effectively, like, 8 Mile is just Rocky, except with rap music. That's what it is.
Okay.
Already kind of takes the formula from the Rocky movies and then just puts it into rap battles.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't know.
Did you never think about that?
No, I never think about 8 Mile.
Oh, okay.
Well, 8 Mile never comes up in my thought process.
I think honestly, I think that movie's all right.
It's not bad.
I think that film's that's a good 4-star movie, I think.
I saw it in the theater, never thought about it again.
Right, okay.
Except for spaghetti.
I like it, yeah. Palms are sweaty. Mom's spaghetti. So yeah, if it wasn't for 8 Mile, then we wouldn't have the $50 Man story. But certainly, because it's kind of drawing from I'm assuming because it's drawing from his life story, he's also involved quite heavily in the writing. I'm assuming.
He said that he went in and was practicing. He hired an acting coach, but then when they actually went to film, the script was entirely different.
Huh.
So I don't know.
Okay. So all I can maybe say is that if that's the case, they've effectively kind of taken his story, didn't think it was dramatic enough to make cinematic.
I don't know if he had anything to do with it. I haven't seen anything to where he had any hand in writing it.
That seems a bit weird. That doesn't make any sense. Certainly if they're going to use his kind of the basis of it. Well, I mean, you say like he took classes and stuff like that. Samuel L. Jackson was penned for a role in this movie.
Yeah.
He pulled out basically saying that he had zero confidence in 50 Cent due to his lack of experience, basically saying that he was inexperienced and unproven, which isn't wrong. Maybe there's a more tactful way of putting it.
Yeah, I think that's a little unfair to do that.
Everyone starts somewhere, and I don't think Curtis Jackson is amazing in this movie, but he's not bad.
No, he's certainly not bad. And it's interesting because he had that acting coach on set with him first day, and Jim Sheridan said, get this acting coach out of here, because if your acting isn't good, it's my fault as a director. He says, get out of here, acting coach.
Get the fuck out of my office.
Is that your Irish accent? What was that?
I have no idea. Well, I was in the middle of drinking.
Do you know how they ended up getting in contact, Jim Sheridan and 50 Cent?
No.
Apparently Bono introduced them.
Okay.
Didn't think we'd talk about U2 on this podcast, but...
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently Sheridan was interested in meeting him and talking to him about his story.
Okay.
So Bono introduced them. I don't know how they knew each other, but...
Well, I mean, they work in the music industry. 50 Cent's one of the biggest current acts of all time, and obviously U2 cannot prevent themselves from invading people's personal space with their music. So, it would make sense.
Yeah.
You know, it would honestly, I feel like the Edge would have just like fed a guitar just as a door was closing. And just be like, $50 Man, we need to talk.
Well, maybe we have more shower scenes than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, Eastern Promises, this is not.
No, but it's, pretty good.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Eastern Promises.
No, there's a kind of like, I mean, I guess we'll just get into it, because I don't really have much else to say. If you're interested in seeing this, like, it's very much the paint by numbers kind of gangster movie, really.
Yeah.
This scene itself though kind of sets it apart from a lot of those though. This seems very brave for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's pretty good, I have to say. So this scene comes in at an hour, 1 minute, 25 seconds, about just right smack dab in the middle of the film. And it is a prison shower scene.
Oh, you know how I like a prison film.
I know you love a prison film.
I got really excited when they all went to prison.
Yeah, loves a prison film.
Love a prison movie for whatever reason.
And good golly, do we have a shower scene.
Yeah.
And, which is always tense, no one likes to shower in prison. We know there's many jokes about dropping soaps and all that sort of thing. Gross. You had a line of inmates down the hallway. I think you only have 6 people showering at a time, and there's the guards watching you.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 15 feet away from you.
Uh-huh.
But someone comes out with a shiv.
Nasty shiv.
Yeah. Shank? What's the difference?
Shiv or a shank? I don't know where it came from.
I think you get shanked with a shiv, maybe.
Well, he was completely naked.
You get shivved?
You get shivved with the shank.
You don't get shanked with a shiv.
I don't think so.
I think you can have a shiv. Anyway. Anyone, let us know. Write in.
Yeah, anyone in prison,
any prison
let
terms,
us know.
I don't know. So everyone's naked. They're having a shower. Then one of the guys tries to murder 50 Cent with this knife.
Yeah, this is also the first time that Half Dollar Man meets Terrence Howard's character.
Yes.
Who we've already been introduced to from the beginning of the movie when they stole the money from the Colombians.
So you get to see how they became best friends.
Yes, pretty
and
much.
Partners.
Yes.
Because,
partners in crime.
Yeah. And
like literal crime. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Terrence Howard basically saves 50 Cent's life in this scene, and a fight breaks out, and then there's just a wide array of wieners all over the place in the shower.
So it's all mostly in a wide shot, but there's a panic, and it's very clumsy and it's very opportunistic.
Yes.
And they're like slipping and sliding, obviously, because it's a wet shower floor. And, people are coming out of the shower, going back into the shower and things like that. Like, nothing is left to the imagination.
Terrence Howard runs out.
Oh, yeah, he runs out and then he runs back in again.
Shot of his entire body.
Yes. Like, there's no stone left unturned in terms of the cock department in this scene. Because I don't know, do we even see Curtis Jackson's wiener?
I don't think so, but I think you see everyone else's.
Everyone else's.
So... hectic.
Yeah, it's very kind of, and I mean, I would say like it's not particularly stylish and it's not particularly well crafted or put together, but it kind of gets the point across,
Yeah, I mean,
at no point am I like, wow, what a scene that was.
Yeah, as we were saying, this is not an Eastern Promises that looks very cool, and that bathhouse scene in Eastern Promises is awesome.
Yeah, well, it's well kind of put together and choreographed and stuff. This one, you can tell because it just looks a little bit clumsy. Like, it almost looks as if like they're holding back their punches and stuff, like when they're fighting.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't have any kind of sense of impact. Because the minute the knife is shown, the only thing that you're kind of startled by is the amount of cock that you're getting seen to. Other than that, like I don't think it's a very good scene, just in general.
Well, then just the cops beating the ever-loving shit out of everybody on the ground.
They get their batons out and they just start wailing on everybody.
Yeah, it's pretty violent. The whole scene's pretty violent. Blood everywhere.
If you can't tell who did the crime, just punish everyone. I'm assuming that's how it works.
Yeah, well, they were all... there was an interview with 50 Cent that I was reading, and he was saying, yeah, we were naked, and apparently they were supposed to have these biker shorts on that had the same color as their skin complexion.
Uh-huh.
But when they got wet, as they were in the shower, they changed, to a darker color, so you could tell...
Oh, okay.
That they were wearing little shorts, and so 50 Cent just said, let's do it naked.
Yeah,
What's
it makes
the point?
Sense. Yeah.
And I also saw somewhere that 50 Cent urged Terrence Howard to do the scene naked, and I don't have a reference for that, so I can't say how 100% true that is, but...
Okay.
But maybe it is.
The thing is, like, Terrence Howard's the one we see the most of,
Yes.
in this scene.
Did you know that his ex-wife tried to blackmail him with nudie photos at one point?
Why would you need to? We already see his dick in this fucking movie.
Yes.
Why would anyone care?
That's what everyone was saying.
Yeah.
She was pretty cruel about it, apparently. But you wouldn't need to.
No, you wouldn't need to. But also, yeah, I mean, that's a fucking scummy thing to do.
Yeah, of course it is.
Well.
I mean, that's
kind of
sexual blackmail.
Yeah. Sexual blackmail.
And she is hopefully paying the price.
Yeah, just dismantling the trust of someone that you fucking married.
Yeah.
Like that shit.
I mean, we all know Terrence Howard is... I'm going to keep saying problematic on this podcast, but he is a character, to say the least.
Yeah. I will say, like, if you come with that amount of talent, because, I mean, my favorite Terrence Howard film's probably Prisoners. I really like him in Prisoners.
Right.
Like,
Terrence Howard is incredible. I think he's an incredible actor.
Yeah, and I feel like he's not the only, and certainly will not be the last, of the actors and of talent who come with, I guess, a certain amount of caveats if you decide to cast them in your film. I think probably the most well known aspect of him as an actor, as talent, is his portrayal as he didn't continue to portray him, but of War Machine in the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So I think after Iron Man 1, he didn't portray him again. That's why we got Don Cheadle.
Correct. I was trying to find out why that happened. I was always curious because I've always liked Terrence Howard.
Well, I thought it was due to the
and
fact
I didn't know about his behaviors.
I was sure it was due down to money. I think he wanted more money.
Well, here's the thing. Did you know that he was the highest paid actor on Iron Man? He was paid more than Robert Downey Jr. He was paid more than Gwyneth Paltrow. He was paid more than Jeff Bridges. He was the first person cast in that film, and he had the highest salary.
I mean, Iron Man is only the beginning of the MCU. Without Iron Man, there is no MCU. So either it's a blessing or a curse. It depends on kind of where you come from on it. But yeah.
Jon Favreau was saying that he didn't care for his behavior on set, and they had to reshoot a lot of his scenes because they were having problems with him. Okay. And so when it came time to start writing and casting Iron Man 2, they were going to just cut down that character's scenes and make him, less visible in their world that they were building. But then when people were, they had a trajectory for War Machine. So they decided to offer him less money. So they offered him, it's not completely clear, but it's a 50 to 80% cut in his salary. Okay. Hoping he would do it, and obviously, or maybe they weren't hoping he would do it.
I think they were hoping he would just not bother doing it and they could just recast him.
Did not, and they did recast him.
And for what they do with that character over the course of the first couple of phases of the MCU, I hate to say it, but it really didn't matter who was playing War Machine.
They could have done a lot more. It's not great.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not like it was like, oh my god, that's the
Don't they just take
Laurence
him straight
Olivier
out?
fucking that.
Don't they just take him straight out at one point in one of the Marvel movies? He plummets to the earth, and they think he died, and he's gone for a really long time.
Well, the thing is, by the end of Endgame, he's just excised from the whole thing. He's gone. We're probably never gonna see him again. And Robert Downey Jr., he might have been, Robert Downey Jr. was laughing all the way to the fucking bank. Yeah. He was in, what was that movie he was in? It wasn't Far From Home, it was the first one, Homecoming. Mm-hmm. He's only in that movie for fucking 15 minutes. He got $10 million just for that fucking cameo.
He had to have been in that movie for way less than that.
Oh yeah, so I mean...
He probably only filmed for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and now here we are, talking about Marvel.
Oh, whoops.
Ugh,
sorry.
God. Yeah.
I'm just very interested in the Terrence Howard tales.
I mean, you know what? I'm no stranger to liking actors who are, for want of a better word, mental. You know what I mean? They come, I guess, we're in a very kind of strange period in, how would we say this? In society, in the media. Okay. In the creation of it, because now we're oversaturated with content, and people are so scared of how they are perceived in the media and by the general public. Okay. It's everyone is constantly walking on eggshells. Everyone feels like they're skating on thin ice.
It feels like everything that we do is
very well
public at this point.
Yeah, but I feel and I'm not saying I condone any of this sort of stuff, but life is a little bit more interesting if people are a little bit more mental. Or you can make the argument that the work is substantially more interesting if you're working with that level of temperament, And that goes the same with directors. I mean, I guess because everyone is so well behaved, there's almost a sense of it being relatively quite stale now that we're just not used to what it was like back then.
I do like the videos and the audio that we tend to look at every once in a while of a director losing his shit or an actor going crazy and yelling at everybody. I find it all very amusing.
That to me was like part and parcel of you following a creative individual. Mm-hmm. You know, that always felt part and parcel of like, you just sometimes have to deal with a level of difficulty. But the whole thing about, like, and I say this like in film because that's primarily what I do, is like film is primarily two certain things. It's you're navigating personalities,
okay,
and you're problem solving. And that is it. That's all it is.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's just getting people to be in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem solving. Now, making sure they do what you tell them to do, that is navigating a personality.
Right.
So, more than ever, like, you don't need a fucking law degree or a business degree to be a good director. You just need to be able to deal with people.
Mm-hmm.
So, customer service is so much more important than your supposed business degree and your minor in film.
Okay. So there was also this 2015 interview that Rolling Stone did with Terrence Howard where he apparently had formulated his own language. It's like a logic language he called teriology.
Nice.
So if we just want to add a little more peculiarity to Terrence Howard. So he's trying to prove that 1 × 1 = 2. Because he goes on to say, how can it equal 1? If 1 × 1 = 1, that means that 2 is of no value because 1 times itself has no effect. 1 × 1 = 2 because the square root of 4 is 2. So what's the square root of 2 should be 1, but we're told it's 2, and that cannot be. Does that make sense?
I don't know. He's like, maybe putting me around to his way of thinking. That's kind of... Yeah.
He eventually put it on Twitter where he wasn't wanting... He hadn't like quite figured it out yet and hadn't fleshed out his idea. But eventually, I think in 2017, he put it on Twitter. And everyone just tore it apart.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense because it's mathematicians from generations have been able to figure that one out.
The fact that he called it teriology is quite magnificent.
I fucking love that. Yeah, I really do. Yeah, no, because the thing is, like, the way I've always looked at it is, like, 1 times itself is always just going to be 1. Because that's what it always is.
Well, because it's 1 times.
Yeah, because you're just
it's only 1
timesing yourself
once.
by yourself. You're still only by yourself. You know, you have no friend.
No, it makes complete sense to me.
Same as if you times 1 by nothing, you effectively end up with nothing because there was nothing there to times.
Yes.
Yes. There you go.
So, there's a couple other things that I wanted to point out that made me laugh in this film.
Yeah.
Which were, you see in the beginning of the film, 50 Cent gets shot to hell.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the guy who looked like Rick James.
No.
Yeah, I like that, though. I like that about his character, is that he had that picture of Rick James just hanging on his mirror.
Because he thinks that that's who killed his mother. He did say that.
Yeah, he did say that. I just thought that he liked Rick James.
I thought he really did like Rick James as well.
I thought he liked Rick James, yeah.
But no, he hated him.
You know?
Because he thought he killed his mom.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, when we get to go back later in the film and see what happened, why he got shot, who shot him, what was going on, there's this weird scene where he's getting resuscitated by the ambulance, and it's intercut with his own birth from his mother. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what was happening, and it just was so weird to me. Because she's, you see him getting resuscitated, then you see her giving birth, but she's working at a diner, and it looks as though she just stops work, starts having contractions, and just squats down and pops out a little 50 Cent.
She pops out, she squirts out a little $50 man.
Lil Fitty.
It kind of looked as though she was not aware of her pregnancy by the immediacy in which she gave birth.
I mean, he must have slid out like a
Must have done. He
little slugger.
slid out onto that dirty diner floor. And there's all the fireworks going off and shit.
It weirds me out in movies where you have someone who is about to give birth, or they just feel contraction, and then wherever they are, everyone stops. We need a doctor, and then they just take it out. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you have time to go to the hospital. Someone call an ambulance.
Well, no, all you need is a basin of water and some towels. That's all you need. You know.
No.
Well, hold on. What's weirder? Would you rather you were birthed onto a diner floor, or in a birthing pool?
Pool.
You'd rather be birthed in a pool
than a dirty diner floor?
Like in some fucking sterile hospital room, someone's pumped up a fucking birthing pool.
Yeah.
I always thought that shit looked weird. And I've also, like, you see videos of, like, the actual birth in the birthing pool and stuff like that.
Disgusting.
And it slides out, it comes out like this fucking trout, and then it floats up to the surface of the water. And then it's nothing but, like, shit and blood everywhere. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, Ryan.
Well, that's what it is. That's what happens.
It's a traumatic and
miracle.
Dirty miracle. But, yes. And also, I don't even want to talk about this, but, it's yes, a pool is better than a dirty diner floor. That is obvious. I can't believe you're asking me that question.
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
Like
it was
greasy.
just interesting. It always looks a little bit weird. Like when you have to...
They're in the backseat of a car or something. And then the cabbie just gets the baby out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Well, it's like that moment in Men in Black. When she gives birth to the alien in the back of that car. And Will Smith's like, oh my God, it's a baby. And then it vomits on him.
Gross.
It's funny. Yeah, that's a good movie.
Comedy.
That is comedy. Yeah, that is comedy. There's some weird shit. There's some weird shit that kind of happens in this movie, or at least like the film. I feel like it starts off relatively quite strong. After he gets shot, though, there's at least like 2 moments where I was like, this is kind of weird. So like,
tell me,
the girl he's seeing, the girlfriend who he has the kid with. Like, he's been shot and his fucking jaws had to be wired closed.
Yes.
Because he didn't want to get a tracheotomy because, obviously, it would affect his vocal cords.
Correct.
Because
he is a poet.
Yeah. Well, he needs to be able to talk. He needs to be able to have a voice.
Yeah, of course.
But here's the thing. She starts having an argument with him, and he's not able to fucking talk.
Yeah.
And at one point, she goes to him and says, is this what this is going to be like? As in, like, this is what life is going to be. And I was like, give the guy a chance.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, one, he's only just been able to start walking around, and also, eventually, he's going to be able to open his jaw again.
Once he's healed.
Yeah. And he's like, obviously,
of course he's depressed.
He's on painkillers and all sorts of stuff. Like,
he's not able to do it.
And he's literally like going,
he can't open his mouth.
And it's like, fucking hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's almost like,
yeah.
It reminded me of the scene in Forrest Gump where they tell him to run, Forrest, run. And he's got the braces on his legs. It's reminded me of that.
Yeah.
He has the braces on his mouth, which weirdly enough, he wakes up with. It's as though an orthodontist came into the hospital room while he was having surgery and popped some braces on his teeth.
Well, here's the thing. And I mean,
he got shot in the mouth.
He did, but
how did he get his teeth back? Did they pop new
Well, no, here's the thing.
In there?
Like, if you shoot someone that close to their face, it doesn't just go through the fleshy part of your mouth. There's muscle and all sorts of stuff there. It would have totally shredded his mouth.
I agree.
So the only way they would have had to have done anything was they would have had to have surgically gone in there, replaced all the muscles, make sure they were all attached, fucking basically fix his jaw, because the whole thing would have just fucking exploded.
I agree.
Yeah, and then he had to wire him shut. And one way they do that, they put the braces on, because obviously his teeth were all fucked up. They probably were all shifted and moved around and things. It's so that when it healed... I don't think that
happens. I feel like they would have just broken.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I got a friend back home who got into a fight, and the bouncer whacked him right in the middle of his mouth and pushed all of his teeth back. The only reason they didn't fall into his throat is because he had braces. Those braces were obviously there to try and keep their fucking teeth in your mouth and to realign what issues you had there, abnormalities, whatever that you had with your brace, like with your teeth. That's obviously what they're trying to do there, so that it doesn't heal weirdly.
That happened to me. That happened to me when I was doing jumping on a trampoline, and I did a flip, and my knee hit me straight in the face, and it knocked my front tooth back, but it didn't knock it out, and I had braces on. But my tooth died, and I had to get it replaced anyway.
Yeah. So
it makes me think that they can wire it shut all they want, but if he had any teeth left, they'd probably be dead teeth.
Well, we do see him taking the wires out of his mouth.
That's what I was saying. It's like Forrest Gump, if he can will it, because his wife wanted to have sex with him, and so he just willed his jaw to be healed just in time.
Started rapping like he was like, don't want to get your labia lips caught on my braces when I go down on you.
He goes downtown with those braces on.
He does, yeah. You're fucking catching some pubic hairs on those braces.
Ouch.
And, yeah, it'd be a bit stingy.
I hope he was being careful.
Well, yeah, I hope so. I mean, to be fair, it was only a movie. I don't think he actually did it, but yeah.
They had an intimacy coordinator there.
Probably.
Just to keep an eye on those braces.
It's just a 5'0" woman with a clipboard. She's just like watching in front of camera. Just like, you're not doing it right. You're not doing it right. Do that. Right, there you go. All right, well done.
So we decided, because of our last episode, and I've been thinking about it for a while, and we're going to update our visibility and context ratings going forward, because I do feel like maybe they need to be separated, because it's hard to put them together when you have things maybe such as this movie in particular, where you have visibility, which is quite high.
Yeah.
And then you have context, which is pretty low.
Yeah.
And so I thought we would go forward and see how it works if we separated those ratings. So we will be doing a 0 to 5 rating of visibility alone, context alone, and then your overall film rating.
Yes.
So would you like to go first?
So should I go with visibility first?
Visibility first.
Well, probably a 5, because you see everything.
You sure do.
Right?
Yeah.
And in terms of the context, well, no, I mean, it has to be like a 4 or something, because they're in the showers in prison, and they're all completely stark-bollock naked. So I mean, I guess that makes sense.
So the first time that we're separating them, it ends up being the same rating.
Pretty much, yeah. So I don't know. Like, oops. Well, I don't know how you would. Well, look. Let's put it this way. For some of the other ones, we didn't really separate it, or we kind of did it as a median.
Yeah.
You know, so like it might have been 5 and then 1, and then it ends up just becoming 3. You know.
Yeah.
So in this instance, yes, no, they end up being the same.
Okay.
Do I think the scene is very good? No, I don't think the scene's very good. I think it's awfully clumsy.
Yes.
But in terms of like what it is and what you're seeing, just because it looks clumsy doesn't mean that it doesn't get high scores for what it is. You know
I'll give them credit for being clumsy. It would be a clumsy situation you're in if you were getting stabbed in a prison shower and then you're trying to fight everybody, but you just lathered yourself up with some soap.
Everything's a bit slippery.
It's gonna be a little slip slidey.
Well, it's like that. It's like that oil wrestling, you know. You get all kind of clingy and stuff. You just grab hold of the things that you can get a hold of.
Yeah, I think that's what happened here. And let me think. So my visibility, I'm gonna give it a 4. That's just because I'm gonna combine everyone all together, because you can see Terrence Howard, no problem. That's because he stands right front and center, or front left, I would say. But you can see everyone else's, but it is... Well, there's a lot of moving around.
It seemed as if he was very aware of where the camera was. So, like, in that wide shot, he comes right up close to the camera.
He does.
Yeah. So, like, it just seemed like he was like, no, that's where my light is. I'm going to go in there.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Right here, Jim? Is this good? Is that my marker, Jim?
I'm not staring at your testicles anymore. Just like, hurry up. Just run
Back up, Terrence, please.
Please, fucking hell.
No.
It's like just sitting in his chair and his fucking balls and that are just here. Yeah. How was that, Jim?
For context, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I'm just going to make it a little bit different just for fun, because it's tough, it's rough, but I appreciate, you know, what they're giving us here.
Yeah.
Obviously, they would be naked, and I'm glad that they filmed it as such instead of putting on weird flesh-colored pants.
Yeah.
Which would have been insane.
Well, everyone looked like a what do they call them in Dogma? The Metro. Is it the Met? What's they call them in Dogma?
Well, what, Metatron?
Metatron.
The voice of God?
No, they call them the angels. What do they call the angels? Because remember, Alan Rickman takes his trousers down and he's just got a fleshy patch there.
Yeah, well, he's the Metatron.
Oh, is he?
I think so.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I might rethink these ratings later on, but for right now, that seems fine.
I think for the small audience that we have just now, I don't think it's going to disrupt them too much.
Okay, don't be mad at me.
I think they don't come here for the ratings. They come here for the jokes. So that's fine.
Never mind. I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it double 4s, just like...
What's that, your rating for the film, or is that
No.
for the... Oh, right.
No,
okay.
certainly not.
No, because it was about to fucking question our relationship.
I think I'm going to give the film an overall 2, because I don't like it very much, and I don't find it very entertaining, but I loved everybody in it, and I thought everyone did a great job. I just don't think that the movie did a great job of giving its message in a succinct and entertaining way. And I think, as you were saying, Ryan, that it's been done better.
Yeah, it has done, and I kind of feel like it suffers from the... It's kind of like... Because I don't want to sound like Spike Lee, because Spike Lee said that about Michael Mann when he did Ali, right? He said this isn't a white man's story to tell.
Okay.
And I kind of feel that way with this one. I kind of feel like maybe put it in the hands of a black voice, and it probably would lend a little bit more credibility.
Yeah, maybe it does. As I was asking before, maybe it does suffer a bit from Jim Sheridan, and that's a shame. If that's... I don't think he's a bad. I don't think he's we're coming to. But
I don't think it's a bad filmmaker.
Certainly not.
But I feel like obviously, who wrote it again? Because he wrote Wolf of Wall Street, and
it was
Terrence Winter. Yeah, I kind of feel like it loses a little bit. There's aspects of life that we as white people will never understand.
Yeah.
It's just something that we'll never understand, and we just have to be sympathetic. But there will be like a level of prejudice that just kind of finds itself kind of seeding its way into the work because of a lack of understanding. And that's kind of how I feel about this. Now, unfortunately, because of that, I don't think that's the primary issue here. I think the primary issue is that it's just not a very good script.
Yeah.
That what they're given here, and I feel like everyone tries their best, but it just doesn't pay off. Like, it's just too long. It's too long, and it focuses on all the wrong aspects, and for the most part, it kind of comes out that 50 Cent is an incredibly unappealing person at the end of it.
What did you give it as your rating? Did you say it? You haven't said it yet.
I said it was like middle of the road, 2.5
out
of 5. I don't think it's very good. It started off really strong. I was like, fuck, if it keeps on this pace. But it just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't. So.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. Would you recommend this film?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like, if I was saying, like, if I was going to recommend it to, like, friends and stuff like that, they've probably already seen it. Mm-hmm.
This was your first time seeing it.
This was my first time seeing it because I thought, wow, this would be a laugh. I hope this is good.
Yeah, I let you pick this movie.
Yeah, it's a shame.
I picked the last one.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's just not as good as other films of the ilk. It's not a Boys in the Hood. It's not a Menace to Society. It's like even films like closer to like its date range and stuff like that. Like Straight Outta Compton is a far superior and interesting film to this thing.
Yeah.
And that's also that. I mean, they're all based on true stories. They're all based on interactions and the stories of these characters. Of these directors and writers. So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. They could have probably have done something better if it was maybe in the right hands.
Yes, and I think I want to reiterate, everyone did a great job, but I don't think I would recommend this movie. I've seen it twice, and I just looked because I have been doing this website since 2007, and I had it down as a 1 as an overall rating back when I had seen it the first time. So that's tough, but
it just does a disservice.
A 1 to me these days is a hate rating, which I don't hate this movie. Yeah. I would maybe not want to watch it again.
No,
but maybe watch it for the shower scene.
Here's the thing.
To the middle.
Here's the thing, and I'll say this forever. It's better than In the Cut.
Oh my God. Is that going to be your ending line for every film we do going forward?
I think I'm done.
Thank you so much for being here with me today, Ryan, and picking this film.
That's fine. I thought it would be fun.
I had a good time.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
Coming to you from Samuel L. Jackson's rejection to being in this film.
Well, the thing is, hold on, before you do that, because he ended up having to eat his own words eventually, because he did work with 50 Cent on Home of the Brave. And there's also other films where 50 Cent's in them as well. I think he was in some other kind of gangster movie he was actually pretty good in. He was a little bit more understated. He wasn't the lead role.
I think he does a great job.
Yeah, he's done well.
I'm just saying that Samuel L. Jackson didn't want to be in this movie.
Sam Jackson should probably have reined it in a wee bit.
Yeah.
Either way. But I don't know. I like Sam Jackson regardless.
Well, I have been Laura.
I'm the $50 man.
There he is. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next time.
Who said you weren't going to learn anything on this podcast, you motherfuckers?
Oh my God.